Good morning, guys. Happy Friday morning in Montrose. I am Tanya Maddox, and this is Montrose Matters Live. And I have an amazing guest in here, Paul Zaenger. Paul Zaenger with the Black Canyon of the Gunnison National Park. We're going to talk anniversaries. We're going to talk some scary park moments that I have had personally. And we're just going to have a good time this Friday morning. So before we get to that, I wanted to let you know about some events that are coming up. And when people say there's nothing to do in Montrose, well, let me tell you, there's quite a bit to do. So starting with this Saturday, if you need burritos, because we all need breakfast burritos, if you need backpacks, and if you just want to get the kids face painted and have some fun doing some activities here in Montrose, you can do that this Saturday. It'll start at the Our Town Matters Business Center from 8 until 10. And then guess what? All over the city on Saturday after that. So between the rec center, the River Bottom Park, oh my gosh, every activity that is known to man that kids enjoy is happening this Saturday at Youth Appreciation Day. And if you go to the Montrose Rec District's website, you'll be able to see all of the times and places for each of those activities. Did you know that happened every year, Paul?
No.
Oh, it's amazing to have the city shut down for the youth who have just gone back to school. And if that is not enough, if you enjoy networking, the Greater Montrose Chamber of Commerce, yes, the chamber is back. The Greater Montrose Chamber of Commerce is having their business after hours. It is going to be on the 26th. And that is going to be at the Elk Mountain Resort. So the Elk Mountain Resort is back, and there's so much fun that's happening there. So make sure that you plan on going there on Thursday the 26th. That's next Thursday, and that's from 5 to 7. Have you been to the Elk Mountain Lodge since you've been here?
I haven't been up there.
Oh.
No,
but
it's a treat that I'm looking forward to.
Me too. So you can come Thursday if you want to. But it is going to be a good time. Get to know some other chamber members and just experience the new Elk Mountain. And then, some of my favorite activities this fall are coming up. So wine and food that is being put on by the oh my gosh, I just forgot for a second. Bud Taylor is going to kill me. But wine and food that's put on by the Black Canyon Boys and Girls Club is happening on September the 4th. And that's a great event. It's going to be at the event center. And then if you like symphonic music and like popular music, Pops in the Park. Did you know we had a symphony here?
Yep.
You're kind of a musician, aren't you?
A little bit.
Just a little bit. So Valley Symphony Association, they always debut their season with Pops in the Park. And this year is going to be no different. There's going to be one in Montrose and one in Cedar Edge, one of the concerts. So they'll be on September the 11th and the 12th in Cedar Edge and in Montrose. And then if you enjoy just big name Christian concerts, they have Rise Up 2021 with Chris Tomlin. He's coming to town, Danny Goki, and Jordan Feliz. So all the kids say he's the greatest thing out there, but we'll see. But that is happening on September the 11th. And they're also bringing in former U.S. Navy SEAL Chad Williams. And Chad wrote this book called The Seal of God, and it's about how his faith helped get him through Afghanistan and some of the other turbulent moments in our time. Did you know it's the 20th anniversary of 9/11 is this year?
Yep, it's this year.
Yeah, so it's there's going to be some dynamic activities coming up here to celebrate that. And then, okay, Mr. Musician, what do you think about the Beach Boys? Are you familiar with their music? You are?
Yeah, I've seen them in concert
back
in the day.
Oh, you have?
Those of us of a certain age.
You mean young?
Yes.
There you go. Yeah. Because we're going to see some lookalikes on September the 18th. And there's a cover band called Surf's Up. And it's all Beach Boy music. They're going to be here at the Pavilion. And it's a fundraiser for the San Juan Healthcare Foundation. So lots of events happening in Montrose. I'm checking them all off my list. I'm going to try and attend them all. We're going to take a quick break while you guys put all of these events on your calendar. calendars, and then I'm going to come back and chat with Paul Zaenger.
Yep. Yay.
Employees, and we were in a double wide trailer with 4 exam rooms. So that's where we started, behind an elementary school, really focused on taking care of those children. It was a school-based clinic prior to us becoming an FQHC. But very quickly we realized the community needed a lot more support, a lot more access to healthcare. So in the last 8 years, we've grown to 3 different sites. We have 104 employees now, and we're taking care of about 6,600 unique patients a year.
You're proud to call Colorado home. So are we. Independent, locally managed community bank where the employees are also the owners. We would like to be your bank. We're Alpine Bank.
Okay, Paul Zaenger. So I'm super excited to chat with you. You know,
It's great to be here.
Really, you don't know that yet. Well,
Okay.
but no, I
You bet.
appreciate you. So. A little birdie told me that you're going to be 105. Okay, maybe not you, but
Not quite that. Some days feels kind of old, but you might be thinking of the national parks. The
Yes.
National Park Service, excuse me.
the National Park Service is 105, and in fact, this week, right?
Coming on Wednesday.
Wednesday,
It's the
okay.
25th of August. In 1916, Congress passed a bill establishing the National Park Service as an agency with the federal government, and Woodrow Wilson signed the bill. At the time, we had a small number of national parks, national monuments that were a part of that collection. Everything from Yellowstone to Yellowstone to Yosemite was part of the Park Service.
Okay.
Mount Rainier, Mesa Verde were all included in the National Park Service in 1916. And national monuments, including Petrified Forest, which later became a national park, Devil's Tower, and so on.
Okay, you have a plethora of knowledge, and just the few minutes that I got to speak with you earlier today, one, I was corrected 3 times, and no, but I learned so much, and I think it has to do with just, you know, although the National Park Service is turning 105, there's a significant anniversary that is happening for you personally. I think you are about to retire.
Well, I'll be retiring.
Yes,
at
after
the end
how
of the
many?
summer. I started working seasonally in 1979.
Wow.
In the Carter administration. Wait a minute, was he president?
Yeah.
Yep, in the Carter administration. I worked seasonally at a park in Ohio where I grew up, and then worked in the years following that. I worked at Mount Rushmore. I had a short seasonal job at the Statue of Liberty. I got a permanent job at Valley Forge National Historical Park.
Okay.
And then at Glen Canyon National Recreation Area, known as Lake Powell, around these parts better, Death Valley, and then here at Black Canyon.
Okay, so I'm just going to ask because everybody wants to know. So feel free to send your questions in. Which one is your favorite? Come on, you can tell us, right?
You know, that's kind of complicated because the memories that I have of all of them are flavored with both the public, the visitors that you work with, the communities that you work with, and then the staff.
Okay.
And so, you know, I don't want to sound like kind of a knucklehead and say I loved them all. Some places it was harder to work at than others, but they were all wonderful experiences because of those other aspects that are a part of who we are in the workplace. No matter where we are, I kind of like to hope that we all have wonderful people to work with.
You know, I do. I mean, I get to interview and interact with people like you, and we have great staff, so I completely understand that, and I'm going to let you avoid my question.
And that's a thing people sometimes that you see at Black Canyon off and on, and any of the parks, is that different places will speak to us given whatever circumstances are in our lives, as well as the people that we're with, whether that's families or friends or maybe traveling alone. as well as the weather and everything else. So, you could have a wonderful time at Glacier National Park, and that place would really speak to somebody, whereas coming to Rocky Mountain National Park, mountains of a different flavor, but maybe not as much, or maybe vice versa. Maybe Rocky Mountain, wow, that really speaks to people on a certain level, but Glacier not as much. It just depends.
Yeah. Well, in your business, you are out in the elements on a regular basis. And what I love about you is, Paul, do you know you smile all the time? So what I want to know is, when you're out in Death Valley, were you smiling then too?
On a hot July day, maybe not as much, but on a great October day where the sun is mellow, it's warm, you're in shorts and shirt and whatever. And working along, or March and April, yeah, absolutely.
Really?
So there's the rhythm of a place like Death Valley, where the summer can be pretty warm, and you kind of get into that rhythm, so that you retreat, you're careful, you work early in the day, and try not to be out as much. Sometimes you have to be out, of course, but not out in the heat of the day when it's 115, 120, 125. But you're working with that rhythm of those summer days, because the winter days are going to be really glorious, or from fall until spring. On the flip side of that, if you're up in interior Alaska, or at Theodore Roosevelt National Park or Voyageurs National Park, those are up near the Canadian border. There, the winter is going to be the place where you have to be really mindful of how cold it is, because the summertime is where you're going to be really much more active outside.
I was so I read a lot of national news, and I am flipping through a few weeks ago. It might be a month now, and I was like, oh, Death Valley has reached a record high. And I believe the record was 136. Does that sound about right?
In the neighborhood, yeah.
It does.
Yeah, we missed that. When we were there, my wife and I, the hottest that we saw was 126.
Okay.
There's not a lot of glory in trying to get a higher number in that, I don't think, but you just have to, you just endure it.
You do. Well, the funny thing about that is, as I'm reading along, and it's, the stories about these record highs, and then I get to Grand Junction, I'm like, oh, we made the national news on the western slope. Grand Junction got to 107.
Yeah, the hottest that they had ever been.
Exactly. And so these extremes that you were talking about, and I was just talking about heat, that is part of your world in this supervisory position with the National Forest Association. Did I say that right?
National Park Service.
National Park Service, but I say forest, and I don't know why I did that. But with the National Park Service, and that's extremes in weather as well as in personalities, possibly. Do you get, I'm assuming you have more fun than not, because most folks are, when they're visiting the parks, they're on vacation, they're happy, it's families going out.
Yeah, and that makes for, enjoyable days working, just trying to help people to kind of find an experience, maybe find a relationship with that place. Black Canyon of the Gunnison National Park is a lesser known park. It's not as heavily visited. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but most people know about Yellowstone and Yosemite and Grand Canyon, those national parks. And in the eastern U.S., excuse me, Great Smoky Mountains is really well known, or Everglades National Park, or Acadia National Park. But in our corner of the world, in Colorado particularly, Arches, which is right across the state line in Utah, and Rocky Mountain National Park. Both of those are really very well known, but Mesa Verde gets maybe 600,000, 700,000, 800,000 people. They're not seeing 1 million a year, whereas Arches and Rocky Mountain National Parks are getting multiple millions every year, and we don't either. We get the last reliable measure that we had was 430,000, and that was in 2019.
Oh my goodness! Okay.
So, but that's okay. We don't necessarily need to have millions of people to appreciate Black Canyon National Park. The fact that we have those, that's really important. Just that they are finding an experience and finding meanings for themselves. at Black Canyon.
So I have a story.
Mm-hmm. Yay.
And I'm sure you hear these stories all the time.
Yeah, I love to hear them.
I was 4.5, almost 5 years ago. I was visiting Montrose, trying to decide if this is where my family and I, should move to. And as there was an individual taking me around town, and then said, you have to see the Black Canyon before you leave. Great, no big deal. Love, going out. Well, I have to tell you, I'm a little embarrassed to tell you this story. So I'm chatting, talking, trying to get to know them. They're trying to get to know me. And, we park, we keep walking. I'm not even looking at my surroundings. I had no idea what Black Canyon was. I just didn't have a clue. And we're chatting, and we walk up to this overlook. I lost it, just gonna say.
Yep,
I did.
Yeah. It's like
sweaty palms, my heart was racing, and the person who usually has no lack of words and phrases, I got quiet. I didn't know what to do. I could barely move and felt like Jell-O.
Yeah, but it's like, holy cow,
Yes.
wow. It's like,
And I haven't been back since.
Yeah. And for some of us, there's that, the fear of heights is very real.
Yes.
And my boss, who recently retired, was that way. And we all have some of those feelings. And that's a really good self-preservation thing that you want to maintain or keep.
Self-preservation, I love it.
You need to do that. And so we visit with people about that.
Right.
Just be comfortable, because you don't want people, we don't want someone to feel like, holy cow, wow, I can't do this. And we don't, that's not a good thing. Is just to be step back a little bit. You can enjoy the canyon, without being right on the very edge.
Yes. And so I will go back. They're making a list here. Gosh, Drew Lowen, our production guy here, is like, Tanya, you got to ride a horse. You have to go up to the Black Canyon. There's all sorts of things I'm going to do. I have to cook now. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to video it, just so you know that I did. I'm going to hike the Gunnison out. Okay.
Hiking the Gunnison.
But I will, in my defense, I'm not afraid of heights, but there was also snow on the ground. I thought I was going to slide under.
No, we all come to these places from our own background, our own experience, and that's what I think what the lower numbers of visitors at Black Canyon offers is that it's you and the place. And that's really, I think that's an excellent thing that you can find an experience. You can find, even if it's just a quiet morning, a quiet sunrise, or maybe late in the day, the sun's going down, or we've had some recent storms, being in a shower. Not everybody likes that, but being in that, being out with the various forms of what's going on in the place, whether that's really hot, really cold, rainy, sunny, the whole thing.
Gosh, so it's interesting you said that, because the person who took me up there, as we're driving, he said, when I have a really long day, I grab myself a sub sandwich and some chips, and I head up to Black Canyon, and I just sit there and enjoy my lunch and just just forget about the day, let it wash away, and
just find a spot.
Be amazed and find that spot.
It's really cool. And you can, and especially later in the day, the numbers of people really drop, and it can just be you and whichever trail or overlook you want to go to. And I highly recommend that.
Do you? Okay.
For us here in town, that's something that we can do. And you can find other places around Montrose beyond that. If you're watching in Ridgeway or Delta or wherever else, just find a wonderful place in the evening. It's cooler in the evening, and when you come back into town or into the valley, it's cooled off, and just enjoy the place.
Wow, love to hear that. So, okay, Paul Zaenger, I have to tell you, you're VIP, right?
No.
They sent me a long list of questions and information about the National Park Service and so forth. So I want to get to some of these questions because they're great questions. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We're going to be right back, and my new best friend, Paul Zaenger, and I are going to chat some more. We'll be right back.
At the Real Estate Store, we're a group of real estate professionals who share all forms of property brokering in an innovative way. Our expertise and experience makes us the best choice for buyers and sellers. Our brokers are ready to assist you either in person or virtually. Come visit us in historic downtown Montrose and experience for yourself the difference of our personal, professional property brokers.
Believe it, just like Gigfoot, Zero Lag Gaming does exist. The real myth now? Slow internet made you lose. So step up your game with Elevate Internet today.
Hey there, welcome back to Montrose Matters Live, brought to you by Elevate Fiber, the real estate store, Alpine Bank, and River Valley Family Health Centers. Without these amazing organizations, we could not bring this show to you every week, so thank you so very much. All right, I am here with Paul Zaenger, and Paul and I are talking all things Black Canyon of the Gunnison and the National Park Service. He has not kicked me under the table because I said he was 105 years old, but I meant the Park Service was 105. So, Paul, I have a question for you, and this is serious because I don't like to just bring a lot of attention to myself. But did you notice the awesome mug that we brought out for you? Yes. Does that,
Yes.
See, it has a bear on it. It has
trees.
trees. It
Yep,
has
yep.
all sorts of things.
Yeah.
Are you feeling at home on the show now?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep, and the shrubs here
The
and
shrubs
everything.
here. See, we try to, bring your world
Yep,
to our
absolutely.
world.
Absolutely.
No.
Yeah.
In all seriousness, the NPS, I'm learning acronyms now too. So the National Park Service, people are wondering, how relevant is it truly now in this modern world?
That's really it's a hard question, but definitely a poignant one for us, I think, in that we in our world today are very similar to the people that lived at the time when the National Park Service was established, or even back into the late 1800s. At that time, in the 1880s, 1890s, early 1900s, we were realizing the Industrial Revolution.
Okay.
And people were moving into cities, and we were kind of distancing ourselves from the natural world. Now, for most of us at that time, excuse me, the natural world meant being on a farm.
Right.
And working the land, being in the soil, you kind of had that feeling of the rhythms of the seasonal change, the rhythms in the natural world, animals going through their life cycles, and trees and crops and so forth. What we kind of found with that revolution, as opposed to the technological revolution that we're living in right now, is not very different. We're still kind of away from that natural world. Mm-hmm. What the national parks and the other federal lands and state parks offer, whether that's U.S. Forest Service or Bureau of Land Management, what those open spaces, what those wild lands and national parks offer us is a view into the world that is born. The world that is of natural, the stuff of the rocks, the wildlife, the plants. Mm-hmm. We live typically in our world today of the world that's made. The works of our own hands, the things that we put together, whether those are buildings or technology, phones, the digital world. We all drove somewhere this morning, probably, or we're planning on driving somewhere today. So those are all things that we've made. There's a balance there, I think, that we want to realize that national parks and our wildlands offer us, in that we can remind ourselves that we are flesh and blood,
right.
that we are competent to be a part of that wild, natural place. We have to remind ourselves of this. So even just in the evening, grabbing a sandwich from a store or getting takeout, whatever that is, going to maybe sitting out by the Uncompahgre River at the Ute Museum, maybe something simple like that.
Yes.
Or coming to Overlooks, Ridgeway State Park, Confluence Park up in Delta, and so on. All of those are places where we can at least know that there are birds, there are animals, there are trees, there's water, rock. All of that is part of what those people back then in 1916 felt was really important for them in their lives. And they believed that we would want that 100 years later,
yes.
105 years later. And I think that they were right, because in seeing people, hundreds of thousands a year at Black Canyon, and some of the other parks where I've worked where there would be millions of people a year, that we still want to have that connection. We still need to come back to the world that's born.
Or, and let me add this thought. Maybe they knew that at some point our worlds could be intertwined. Mm-hmm. And I am about to date myself. Again, I do that often on this show. But I remember a commercial in the 80s and the 90s. Now, and I was in the city then. I was not living here in beautiful Montrose, Colorado. I love it here, by the way. And there was a commercial. You see this young kid on a horse looked like working the family farm, mm-hmm. with his watch, mm-hmm. that said one day, I believe it was one day he'll be able to run the farm and the gate from his watch. And I thought, how interesting. Now back then, who knew?
Yeah.
Now our watches, they tell us, how many steps to take, when to eat, when to, pay this bill today, all of those things. But that, as I look back, that's how I see us intertwining with nature, mm-hmm. and technology. Mm-hmm. And one doesn't have to snuff out the other.
Right, absolutely. The conveniences in our lives help us to in our relationships with family, friends, community. What the world of Born provides us is a relationship with that, with our families, with the human element, mm-hmm. but also with the world, with the natural world. And to have a relationship with the land is important, I think, as the other relationships that we have, because they bring us all together in families, friends, the community, and the natural world. I mean, and I think in as equally great a sense is that the conveniences make it possible for us to step out away from the world that's made more quickly, because they are conveniences that can help us move things along faster in our daily lives so that we can be outside.
So, maybe I'll get more friends if I take them out and, visit some of these national parks.
Yeah. That's why we have, the Boys and Girls Club, as a, for instance, in their event coming up.
See, Bud, someone remembers you.
Yeah. So that organization and other youth and children's groups and organizations will take children out and young people out to experience these things, to be part of their local youth group committee, or community, not committee, but mm-hmm. youth group community, to be out and experience the places, and that enriches the whole experience when they do that. Same thing with taking family and friends out, whether that's a short picnic or a longer vacation or whatever that is.
Sure. And so for people like me who are kids at heart and just in littles as well, don't you have something that you do annually? Something's coming up with astrology next month.
We have the Black Canyon Astronomical. We partner with the Astronomical Society, but the Astronomy Festival is September 8th through the 11th. Okay. That's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and we have evening programs. We have some daytime activities, and just to call out the dark sky. Black Canyon is an international dark sky park. We're not alone in that. There are quite a number of them.
I'm learning so much today.
And there are dark sky communities in Norwood and Ridgeway, and I believe Paonia. If they're not there, they're close to that. And in addition, Kirakani National Recreation Area, probably better known as Blue Mesa Lake, is also is an international dark sky park now, just recently designated. So we have the beautiful dark sky, the beautiful night sky, can be so enriching for us, because that probably even better, I think, than just coming to a national park or a state park or whatever. We can all have the dark sky at night, and that can be such a mellowing influence when we have the racing pace of daily living. We all have schedules. We all have deadlines.
That we have on our watches that beep.
We all have those things, but the sun always goes down every night. It's really cool. Wow. We're going to have nighttime, and then we'll have daytime and nighttime. So we have that. I mean, and we can all step back and appreciate the sun going down, and that's part of that rhythm, that daily rhythm, the seasonal rhythm that I think that can help bring us back to that world of the natural world that can be really enriching and help us to kind of to mellow down and then enrich our relationships with each other and our communities.
Wow. So, Paul, this has been truly eye-opening. And I have to tell you, just in the short time that I've had an opportunity to chat with you and get to know you, we are truly blessed to have you a part of the Park Service. Paul, we wish you nothing but the best in your retirement. And I want to say thank you on behalf of all of Montrose and the Western Slope. Thank you for your service throughout your career, but especially your time here at Gunnison Park.
Yep, it's been, thank you very much. It's wonderful. I couldn't have picked a better set of work for me, and the community of Montrose has enriched that, has made that so much stronger in the relationship that has existed, that was here when I arrived, between what was then the National Monument and now National Park, as well as the community, the relationships there. It's just been absolutely wonderful, and thank you.
Awesome. All right, Paul Zaenger, Black Canyon of the Gunnison. Thank you so very much, and you guys make it a great weekend in Montrose.